Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Book Leads Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the lives of the people in my network. So these are great leads to get to those books that have made the most impact, they believe, on their work, their business, their personal life, whatever it may be. All those worlds intersect. And my guest today is Oksana Yusupova. And Oksana is a psychotherapist based in Toronto, Canada, specializing in child and family therapy. She's the founder and CEO of Focus on Emotions, an innovative approach that helps children and parents understand emotions as meaningful signals rather than the problems to be fixed. As an author and speaker, Oksana shares her vision of emotional awareness through her book, Focus on Emotions, The Kid's Guide to Themselves, and through workshops, talks, and her parent community. Her work combines psychology, neuroscience, and practical tools to make emotional intelligence accessible for families and educators. With more than 20 years of experience, she is dedicated to helping people connect with themselves and each other on a deeper level. And I had Oksana on this series before. In July of 2024, we discussed Jim Quick's book, Limitless, Upgrade Your Brain, Learn Anything Faster, and Unlock Your Exceptional Life. That was episode 104, so I highly recommend going back and taking a listen to that. Just because anytime I have a guest on that comes back for another episode, typically in that first episode, we go deeper into their life, their backstory. We'll cover that now, but maybe not as much. But in the meantime, thank you for being here, Oksana, again, and trusting me with another conversation.
Thank you so much, John. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Oksana, can you tell me who are you today? What the work that you're doing? I went through a brief overview of what you do, what you're carrying out, who you're doing it for. But I'm curious, I'm always curious with my guests what that day-to-day looks like for them. And even though we talked before and I asked you the same question then, it's amazing how many things can change in someone's life over the course of a year. They may be looking at things differently. So for you, who are you today? What is that work that you're doing in the day in, day out of your work, of your business?
Yes, and I can say that today my life is changed a lot comparing with how I can explain myself 1 year ago. Because 1 year ago, in July, I just published my first book, Focus on Emotions. And it was for me like test to see how people react on it. Is it useful or not? And now, 1 year later, I realized that this approach is more than just a book. During this year, I got a lot of feedback from parents, from educators. I provided several workshops for families at schools for teachers and students. So I worked a lot, and I realized that Focus on Emotion is more than just a book, and it's something that inside me, and something like a magnet is just pushing me to do things, to continue doing what I believe. So today I realize that I'm more than just a psychotherapist and a mom, as I always be, and I'm developer of this approach, and I want it to be bigger. More people will know about it and understand, because so many high conflict situations in families can be solved when we just change our focus, when we focus on emotions and when we understand neuroscience, biological processes, when we understand what's going on for children and for parents, so many conflicts can be solved easily.
Yeah, it's incredible now being a father. It's incredible now being a father this day and age, because when my parents were raising me, there really wasn't anything like this. There really wasn't, in certain areas maybe, but there wasn't a broad societal global conversation about children's emotions or emotional intelligence in adults in general. So there really wasn't this talk about emotions. That those past generations were just very much get it done, put your head down, suck it up, don't show your emotions, don't show your vulnerability. So for me, I'm grateful to be a father this day and age where I myself can express my own emotional needs in a conversation, just open up. It's not as taboo as it used to be. Because of that, obviously the work that you're doing with children, now you're seeing more about that. And now my kids are 10, 6, and 3 years old. So because I've had books like yours and conversations like the ones you create and facilitate out there, I look at parenting differently than my parents probably did, and I'm grateful for that because they had one type of solution. Now I look at what my kids are doing and kind of trace it back to see why they may be acting a certain way. So it's just so powerful. And I think obviously if we go that route and try to understand them, it makes better humans because we're not lashing out, we're not getting emotional. They're not getting emotional, I'm getting emotional. They're getting, more emotional, I'm getting more emotional. It is more conversational, it is more understanding. So I'm grateful for the kind of work that you're doing and putting out there. Very grateful.
Yeah, thank you. However, I see right now, as we see, more people are more educated on it and more people know about emotions. And sometimes children at age of 6, 7 years old, they ask parents to arrange a session with psychotherapist, and they came to me and very aware of what they want to talk to me about. So it's like inspiring me how important and how it's useful for them will be in the future. However, some part of people, they still live in this like previous paradigms with previous views. So we still have like back views on emotions. That's why there will be never will be enough psychoeducation about emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, even my kids, they now they start talking about emotions in school. And I think it's amazing, not just because it helps them in the moment, but it sets them up for life. We talk about all the depression, all the anxiety, all the emotional trauma, all the emotional living that we have as adults. And it's because we were never taught as kids how to regulate ourselves. We were taught all this other stuff in school, all these things to memorize, whether it was science, math, history, civics, whatever it was. You need to know these things. But then they never really taught you or guided you on how to survive yourself, how to live with yourself, how to cope, however you want to look at it. So I think it serves them not only now and their families, but for when they get older. Just because so many people are lost today because they don't have that emotional understanding, self-assessment, regulation. So I think it's a great foundation for everyone involved.
Yeah. And John, at the same time, I just see wider. So at the same time, when kids talk, they know more about emotions and they know more information. They can say, I feel stressed, I feel
Mm,
overwhelmed. They can name these emotions. However, at the same time, I see that some like tricky thing. Like everyone knows that all emotions are normal, but some people thinks that all emotions are normal, but my norm is to be happy and calm. This is what I see at the same time. So everyone knows it, but they subconsciously try to avoid all these harsh emotions. They want to be happy and calm.
mm,
And that's why in the book, I explain the connection with the brain, what we need to understand, what processes happen. And I compare emotion with the weather. Like the weather can be different and everything is okay. It can be storm, it can be rain. But okay, we just know that today I'm going to bring umbrella and
mm.
I will be safe during this type of weather. And the same approach, I use this metaphor. I use a lot of metaphor with children, with adults, because I see metaphors helps us, our brain understand what we talk about, because emotions, they are all invisible. And when we talk about something that we don't see, we cannot touch, it's very hard for our brain just follow this direction. And that's why I use a lot of metaphors. It's like support for our brain to dive deeper in this area. So when I use this metaphor of the weather, explain to children, okay, so today you feel mad. Maybe you woke up very early, maybe you are hungry, maybe someone pushed you, some things happened. But this is like the weather. If you feel it, you don't have to go back, like remind yourself how to be calm, how to be happy. You don't have to fix it immediately. You don't have to avoid this uncomfortable feeling. It's okay. This is your madness. You feel it right now. Rate your madness, draw it, talk about it. And it's like weather. Wear appropriate clothes and let's go. This will finish soon. And this is what help me, because what help us, because if we avoid it, it will be like always we go somewhere, but if we avoid this situation of being mad, of being jealous, the life always bring us back. It's like a rubber that always bring us back and back. You try to go out from it, but if you avoid it, if you not accept it, if you not let this be in your life, the life will always bring you back until you face it and you understand that it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I think so much of the conflict that any of us can feel with emotions is the tension of trying to keep it normal looking. That we can't have emotions, that we can't show people too many of our emotions or too much energy in emotions. So I like the fact that you've said that, and you mentioned it before when we spoke about that there is a need to show where you are, and that hiding it and trying to suppress it will only make it worse. So I like that you make that a point in your work where it's kind of like you have to address these things as they're going, feel them, live them, or else, they just get bottled up or for a later time where the outcome won't be as peaceful as smooth, I guess. I'm trying to be very particular about the wording that I'm using because I understand the way that you look at it and seeing that emotion should be normal and that there shouldn't be this aim for perfection that we kind of have to be stoic and keep all our emotions bottled up. So I appreciate everything you've shared. Oksana, so for you, we've gone through in the last episode, we spoke about your path to today. I don't want to go as deep into your story just because I want people to go back to listen to the first time you shared it. But can you give some highlights? Can you give some of those moments that caused you to pivot into your work today from maybe high school age or when you entered the workforce to today to kind of paint that picture for the listener, the viewer, as to how you got to where you are and how the work that you're doing now came about?
Yes. I think that psychology choose me somehow, because if I look back on my life, how I became here, it was always like coincidence happened in my life. I had my previous plan, what I wanted to be, but since didn't go well, we can say, and like accidentally I entered university and psychological department, and I study psychology, and it was very interesting for me. First of all, when I was 17, it was maybe first time in my life when I start exploring myself with guidance, because professors gave us information, and I I was exploring myself, emotions, situation. I start questioning, like parents, perspectives, what I have, how I see children, how I see parents. And maybe on the second year, I realized that I want to be a family psychotherapist. I don't know why. Again, I'm a very intuitive person. A lot of things in my life I do just because I feel it. And I have my son, he is 9 years old. And maybe from he's 6 years old, he create one phrase for himself. I just feel like it. And when I asked him something, why you did it? And he said, I just feel like it. And he used it even for now. And I love this phrase, I just feel like it. It's explain everything. And in my life, I felt that something in childhood needs my attention. And I was always, from 2006, I work as a child and family psychotherapist. Even before I had my own children, I provide workshops for parents. And at that time, what I did, I just follow other psychological theories, and I just follow these instructions, and I work with children. And I remember this feeling that like some part is always missing. Like I do something, but I didn't have this emotional.
It didn't pull you like a magnet.
Yes, something happened. So I was always, and that time I provide, now we call it developing emotional intelligence, but that time we name it somehow different. So I work with children, I work in developmental stages, I work with parents on correction behaviors. And I remember that all these theories that I learned, they gave results, but I didn't have feeling that I satisfy with them. So I see like parents got what they want, but I always had this feeling that something missing. And for almost 20 years, what I work in this industry, I changed to countries. I work in Ukraine, then we came to Canada. I completed education here and continue not education. I evaluated my diploma and continue my practice here with supervisor in this new country. And I had always this feeling like something missing. And several years ago, I decided to connect all puzzles from my professional background. Like what I saw worked and what I saw didn't work. So I start connecting all these pieces, and this is how focus on emotion approach created. Because when we focus on emotions, we don't follow some goals like what parents want. And I always say, parents, I will not make your child fit into the school or fit your expectations. I'm here on your child's side. So we will explore. My goal is to explain, to support child that children will feel satisfied with this result. And I can explain for parents, and they always agree because they see that the work what I offer them to do is much more wider and more, it brings more benefits that they expect when they came. For example, they came with their main concern to help their kid cope with fears. But when we dive deeper, we not only help this child cope with fear, but we help the child be more confident, increase his knowledge and understanding and emotions, in how his brain works and what's happened, what about triggers, how situation impact, how do you feel. And again, at the same time, I support parents how to react, because what's the problem when we work with children? That parents' emotions, we can say it. This is the main problem, because parents react because they feel something unconsciously, and their emotions stopped their children emotions. So the first what pop up in parent, their own traumas or their own emotions that they didn't deal with it. And they see children and their emotions through this lens of their personal traumas.
That's true. This topic has come up with other guests. Obviously, we talked about it last time we spoke, and just standing up from those conversations, obviously yours as well, seeing how I react to them. There's a lot of times where I've stopped myself and thought about, why am I reacting that way? And it's what's incredible is there's no other period in my life where I've considered my own childhood trauma or whatever happened to me. No other period in my life did I think about that more than now when I have kids. Because the way that I would react to them in certain ways, it was like, where's that coming from? What do I believe is going to happen? Why do I worry about them this way if they look completely happy doing what they're doing? So it's incredible what, for me, it's opened up, again, with conversations like this, introducing me to just really thinking about why I'm reacting a certain way. So there's a lot to be said about learning more about yourself, or learning just as much about yourself as you are about your children, what they're doing and the emotions that they're going through. It's been eye-opening realizing how I think about what they're going through, the way I react to what they're doing, and where that comes from. You learn a lot about yourself if you're open to really pulling back the curtain and thinking about where your quirks, where your personality comes from, where your reactions come from. It's all there. But it's a matter of really being honest with yourself and really opening that window, pulling back that curtain to understand where you're coming from. Because you may think you know yourself, but there's always more to the story if you listen to the way that you react to the world.
Yes. And be honest with yourself. Yeah, this is the main thing. And questions it, because we all have ego. And ego is always telling us, no, I'm complete. Everything, I'm perfect. I don't have any problems. But when we have questions and when we question ourselves, this is when ego become lower and let us hear what is really inside us. And I don't know, I had this thought that when I got my children, when I became a mom, they brought a lot of new experience in my life. And if I don't have them, I will not discover myself so deeper. So children help us understand ourselves.
Can you share about what you learned? You don't have to get too personal, but I'd love to know how you grew from having your own kids, learning about yourself from your experience being a mother, being a parent.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was lucky. I had a good parents. They were. I had an older sister, so I grew up in a family that we can say normal. Mother, father, older sister, myself, and a dog. So, however, my mom was always very anxious. She has a lot of fears, and this is what I got from her. From my early age, I always had these fears. And when I became a mom, I remember that the main thing what I wanted to not let my fears to go to my child as I got from my mom, because even for now, I deal with this fears, sometimes I just stop, close my eyes and say to myself, this is not mine. This is something what we got from our parents. And this is what I explain to parents. When you not in your strong position, you can be tired, you can be overwhelmed, you can have lack of sleep, and you can be hungry. So you can need some physical needs. And at that time, you will not be very stable in your role as a parent. And at that time, all your experience, what you record, what your brain recorded in the age before 6 years old, it will pop up. Just you will react on your child emotions differently if you in a weak position, if you sick or if you're tired, if you're overwhelmed, you will react how your brain remembers other adults or parents or guardians react. This is what I explain to parents, and this is what I know for myself. When everything is stable, I reduce stress level in my life, because we're all humans, life can change and we can be in more stress, less stress situation. So this is what I still cope with. But I know it. I know like what I got from my mom subconsciously. What I learned is in like norms, because I didn't have anything to compare. I had only one family. So I have it. And this is what I learned with my children. They make me question my fears. When I see like they go in water park from big slides, and even my son, when he was 5 years old, he was just brave, and my daughter, I remember that, oh my God, if they do it, I need to do it. And they helped me a lot to overcome my fears. So it was just one thing. And of course, maybe because of them, I was brave enough to write my book, because again, this is something that you will be visible after, and you will be judged by people. There always be people who like you, who doesn't like what you said. So, and again, you need to be brave enough. And this is again one area that you need to overcome your fears. And they always like motivate me to do more, to achieve more.
Yeah,
Just
no, I get
nice.
that completely. Because I mean, there's been no greater gift than seeing the world through their eyes, their wonder, the questions they ask. I mean, it sounds hokey, but I'm learning from them all the time because they're asking all these questions, and it's making me a better person in every way, even the way that I communicate myself. Because if they ask me a question, they're much more intuitive, they're much more expressive, they're much more thoughtful than I was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
They're very smart, you know? So when they ask me something, I'm like, okay, how do I craft this? I'm not talking down. And at this point, it's my 10 and my 6-year-old asking me questions. Like, they're very smart. I'm not dumbing this down. So how do I put it in such a fashion that they understand it without blowing through the details? I want to provide them the best information that I can. So they've helped my communication just in terms of, okay, how do I want to spell this story out, what this is, what they're asking about? So there's just so much that you learn
Mm-hmm.
from them. For
Yeah.
you, Oksana, before you said you landed on the psychology in school, what were you trying to get into before that?
Mm-hmm. Before that, for maybe 3 or 4 years, I really dreamed to be a fashion designer. I was in this idea. I had plan. I had my sewing machine. I created different designer clothes for myself. I drew models, and once they even were published in one popular teenage magazine. And I remember that day when I was waiting for this publication, and my mom and I just checked this stores where this magazine was selling, and every month just checked, do they have my publication or not? And one, it was winter day. I opened it, I saw my picture and my drawings, and I just started crying immediately there, and I bought maybe one journal, one magazine, and I still have it somewhere, maybe in my mom's home back in Ukraine. But I remember it was really my dream. I went to art school. I planned to enter university, but then like good people around me said that my knowledge not enough, I would not be accepted, and I believed on it, and I even didn't apply to that university. I just I don't know, was so upset that I even didn't try myself. And then my mom just said, in this university, they opened its new department, psychology. Do you want to enter? I said, okay, sure, why not? So, and it looks like my mom, as an angel, just helped me get there in this field. And there, my life started changing from discover myself and then profession.
When it comes to you going into the psychology route, why do you think that was? What do you think it was that pulled you in? Were you that curious as a kid about
Honest-
life and things around you? Like, what was it? Because even though you were you wanted to go in one direction, fashion, right? You go into psychology and you say you were drawn into it. Looking back on it, why do you think you were pulled into it? What was it about you before that just made sense with psychology to link up, to connect?
If being very, very honest, my mom offered to me this education because it was like good for girl. It's like you don't need a lot of math. They just see me, not me. It was this society where women were seen as like you don't need to have career ambitions. So this education, it's good to have education. It's good to go to university, to have masters, but you will be a mom. You don't need to work hard to build a career. You just need to get married and have kids. This is honestly what was there. And again, as a 70 years old teenager who was just ruined her dreams, I said just, okay, like whatever.
I just went along with it.
Yeah. Honestly, this is how it was that age. But then life changed, and I tried several times because when I was in Ukraine, being psychologist, it was not very affordable profession. I didn't earn like enough money. It was like okay to have, and I honestly really dreamed to be a mom, and I wanted my kids a lot. I spent hours. I just really pay attention more in this area of my life as a mom, to be a mom, to spend time, to give everything what I learned during psychology years and give everything to my children. And after the age of maybe after I got birth of my second child, I decided that, okay, now I have two children. I spend some time with them. Now I can build my career. And then when I start first from what I start changing my paradigm, what I believe, change my beliefs, change habits, change everything inside me, and become again brave enough to build a career. And this is what I have. When we came to Canada with no friends, no relatives, no monies, I start my career from zero, just knocking into the doors of every center and then just advertise myself and do what I can do on reduced amount of money, and people see results, they start to recommend, and this is for 7 years what we live here. I built my career, and now I can say that I have very good stable reputation. People knows me, people recommend me, and because I really not work, I live with this. When I work with a family, I don't follow like some protocols. I listen to my intuition. I listen to my heart. I listen where to go deeper. I talk to my clients, to parents, to children, to any clients, share my thoughts, my doubts if I have. I'm very honest, and I try to not lie to myself as well as I feel it. So maybe this is why I'm here.
I mean, it's incredible how the path that you're on began with your mother kind of guiding you in that direction for the traditional sense. But then once you made the path your own, now you can't, I'm assuming you probably can't imagine doing anything else.
No, and I try. Honestly, right now, nowadays, it's very overwhelming to be a mom. For example, my daughter is in grade 12. She is now in this final year. She needs our parents' support to drive her to university open house, to choose university, to help her apply, to help her like this separation period from live with parents and to start her own life in 1 year when she will be separated, live by herself. And it takes a lot of support from us. And my son, he's 9 years old, and he's in rep hockey team. Again, he has a lot of classes, trainings, tournaments. So again, he needs our attention. And nowadays, to be a parent, it's being a driver, being a supporter everywhere. And when I think, okay, just be mom, put away your ambitions, just be a mom, and after your kids grow up, you will go back. And I try to do it, but this feeling like I can just sit quietly, do nothing, but I have some idea. I need to write this book. I need to translate my book. Oh, this idea is good. I need to put it in my books. There's some process are inside me, and I just can't stop it. I can reduce it. I can't let myself sit, but not stop forever. This is really something. This energy is driving me, not I'm driving this energy.
Yeah, that's amazing when that happens. Like, obviously something you want to do, but it's like you can't imagine doing it anything different, and you can't imagine doing this at any other time. Like, you just have no choice. It's something that's drawing you. Oksana, for you, how does who you were as a kid come out in the work that you do? Meaning it doesn't have to be, oh, when you were a kid, you knew you were going to be a psychotherapist, you knew you were going to be doing this. But how does who you were as a girl, as a child in your youth, how does that show up today? What's common between those two eras of your life?
Oh, it's a good and deep question. So again, I think I was lucky because I had an older sister and my parents were always there with her because she has this rebel behavior. And I was free, free from their attention. However, my mom, as I said, was very anxious and had a lot of fears. I had space for myself. And I was very curious child. And I remember like it was interesting for me to be in my dreams, just to think about the world, why I'm here, why I'm in this body, why I'm in this family, what's happened here. So I was always curious about things in life, why this happened. And this curiosity, this is what I still have. And one of my friends, she's an artist, and she asked me to draw what is this? Sacred geometry, and I have this picture here. So she brought us this. I don't know if you see it. I don't see myself. So she asked us to draw this sacred geometry picture, and when I color it, she said, "You have so many child energy. You see the world like all details matters to you. This is why you're in this field, because when you see a child, you see not a child like something that not enough and we need to work hard to make it perfect. You see a child as a personality, and everything is enough there already." So this is what I had when I was a child. This is what I have, what I still have being a mom and in my 40s. So to these wide eyes open and see life in details, like beautiful sunset, weather, all emotions matter, all details. I see like signs from parents, from children. They all matters for me. And then when I connect them, I understand, okay, what's happened? This is what happened. This is where I need to bring their attention, to normalize them, to normalize like this situation, to add some psychoeducation to support them and let go away some beliefs, and then connect the person with themselves. This is what I see in my profession, what I do. This is why my book name, Focus on Emotions, The Kid's Guide to Themselves, because an approach is about connection with your inner self, because everything is inside us. We don't need to change anything. What is really a problem is our brain thought, not brain as an organ, our thoughts, our mind, our beliefs, like sometimes poor imagination, sometimes when we imagine things that don't work for us. But inside, everything is perfect, with children, with parents, with everyone.
Oksana, you may have just answered it, but I just want to ask the question just in case there is something else, or if you want to expand on what you just said. What is it? What do you consider your superpower?
I think that this feeling of not lying to myself. I can lie to myself, sometimes this part of me can lie that I'm not lying to myself, if you follow it. So, but to be on, to trust my feelings. And I always say to my clients that, you know, when I work with you, some very often, honestly, clients came with some exact goal. I want you to help me work on this. I don't want to go deeper because they know that I always go deeper. Sometimes they said, I don't want to go deeper today. Please help me fix it. And I explained to them, you know, I have like inner empathic compass that I check before offer something to my client, before say something. I always like check with this inner compass. Is it help or not? What I would offer to my client, it will help them, not now, in the future, or not. If I offer this to a child, it will help the child and their parents or not. So I have this like inner compass. And when I feel it's not, I cannot lie to my client. I can say, I feel that this can bring some results for you right now. Yes, you will feel released, but it will finish in 1 hour or 2 hours. Like, it will not stay with you. And when I explain everything to client, they may agree to go deeper to work what I feel or not. So this I can say it's like superpower when I'm not lying to myself. But when I don't feel it's ethical to do, I will not do it. I can just sit here, hold space, but I will not do anything that is harmful for children, for parents, for adults, for couples, for families.
Before we jump into your book, Oksana, what does leadership mean to you? Whether you want to throw out a definition or a great example of leadership, what does it mean to you?
Leadership. Again, being honest with yourself and being honest with people. When you lead, you know that some followers will be. Some people will follow you. And for me, leadership is when you're brave enough to be your true self, to not play roles, to not pretend, to not copy some other models how to be a leader, but to be a leader as who you are. Be your true self. This is what I personally learn on myself. I'm not very good on it, but I learn, and this is what I see. To not pretend that you are someone, to not copy other roles, behavior, but be yourself and let this, your true energy, just flow.
All right, now in getting to your book, Oksana, can you introduce the book and how it came to be? What was the process, your thoughts, your hopes for the book as you started putting it together? How did that all play out?
Yeah, thank you. I have it here. So this is my book, Focus on Emotion, The Kid's Guide to Themselves. This book is for children from age of 8 years old and until maybe 16, for parents, for educators. In this book, I decided to add neuroscience, psychology, and explain emotions from several perspectives, from how they work on our physical level, that we have amygdala, we have prefrontal cortex, and what is about, why do we need to understand that we have amygdala? For example, because when you feel anxious, the main part of your brain is active is amygdala, and you cannot immediately calm down, because to calm down the amygdala, you can activate your prefrontal cortex, and it's like the seesaw win. If one is active, another is not active. So we need to calm down the amygdala, activate prefrontal cortex. And this is what we need to understand as parent, because we cannot say for our children, if they say, I'm scared, there is a monster under my bed. And if, for example, a parent can say, just there are no monsters there, just sleep quietly. Kids cannot immediately believe on it. They need some process to calm down, middle, activate prefrontal cortex. Then they will agree with you. So in this book, I see it's very useful. Again, this book is the result of my almost 20 years of experience as a child and family psychotherapist, when I use different approach, a lot of really famous and different theories that a lot of psychotherapists used, and I saw gaps on them. And as I was always creative and I was always, I let, maybe because of this creativity, when I work with children, sometimes like experiment with something. I create like new approach, new ways. I didn't always follow strict protocols. I let myself see wider, be flexible. If child don't want to follow my plan, okay, I can be flexible. Let's see the same problems, the same situation from the other side and from the other side. And this is what helped me to collect during the years some approaches, techniques that I saw helped people and children and families. So, and one of this main idea, psychoeducation. Children and even parents, they don't know that, for example, in some age, kids just don't have prefrontal cortex because the brain is only one organ that it's growing. It's not just like heart. Children and adults, the same structure, but different sizes. Brain is the one organ that always developing, always changes. And what brain kids have in their 3 years old and in 4 years old is different brain, and 6. And so I realize that we need to give this information, because if parents understand that in the age of 5, children cannot think what will be after. They cannot think about consequences of their behavior, and they cannot analyze their behavior. Why you did this? They cannot tell you because they don't have this area of brain. They understand and they lower their expectations. And when parents understand what's going on, they will be more calm and supportive to their children. That's why I explain this information with brain, with the body. I have a chapter here in this book about the brain, with games, with explanation and very easy words for children. What is amygdala, prefrontal cortex, and other areas of our brain. And I have a chapter about the body. What happened in our body? Why do we need to pay attention to our physical reactions? Because very often I see in practice when I have a child who has, for example, anger issues, and I say, you know that anger is not just one emotion. It's not just pop up in your body and you react like you want to destroy everything. It starts from lower level and then go higher, higher, higher. Do you understand? And very often kids say, no, it pop-ups immediately and I react on it. But if they don't notice it, it doesn't mean that their steps, they don't have all these levels. We all have these levels. Every emotion starts from slight, like bell. I use this metaphor of bell here too, like emotions like a bell ring to pay attention. If you don't hear it, become louder and louder, and then it's finished like alarm signal that we cannot avoid. So in this book, I put together all techniques, approaches that I use with families, and what I thought was helpful. This is how this book came to be.
So how did you, now I'm curious, because how did you, especially in educating someone from the ground up, you said just like emotions, we tend to think that what we see is where it starts. Meanwhile, it's not. It started way back. There's a different story that then manifests itself in whatever emotion you might see. So when it comes to a book for kids, how do you structure it? What's the path that you take the reader on? How did you decide to organize the book?
In each chapter, I have again different type of information. I have stories when I use like real kids characters and explain stories, and these stories again based on my practice, what I heard from children, what I see. Sometimes I see that children at the age of 8 start avoid or being happy. They just start block and ignore their happiness to not um, to protect their parents, because they, for example, feel overwhelmed with everything, and because children love their parents a lot, they try to avoid their happiness, because very often kids' excitement, happiness is very overwhelming for parents. And for example, I brought this story to the book too. I create some stories for children to understand this psychological information in practice. I put games for kids, like, for example, for left and right hemispheres. There are some games that kids love it. When I conduct workshops at school, I always use this left-right hemisphere exercise. When you do something with your right hand and you do other gests with your right hand, then clap and you change. This is how you, for example, help your left and right hemisphere work together. And I have several exercises here. I have in each chapter, I have like one page as very easy for lazy readers, I say it. Like, for example, you have information what this chapter is about. Where is it? So you can read just like all emotions are normal, like magical sparkles inside us. We cannot see them, we cannot smell them, but we can feel them. Like in each chapter, I have some different information. And for each chapter, when we talk about emotions, I put information how to deal with it. If it's anger, how to deal with lower levels of anger, how to deal with higher levels of anger. 3 exercise, but very useful, very easy to implement in your real life. And especially I put here, I see it's very important to how to deal with the sadness after you being mad, because after you like destroyed everything, said some words to other person, you can feel bad. And again, how to help yourself, how to deal with these feelings.
So, Oksana, so can you read some of the chapters? Did you break the book into sections and then chapters within each section, or was it just all chapters? Can you give some of the, in order, some of the chapter titles or area titles?
Sure, yeah. So chapter 1 is brain and emotions. And here we have tour to our brain, we have brain exercise, and we have brain games. For example, I provide some scenarios and ask kids what type of, what zones of brain are working right now. So it's like in a fun way to explore our brain, to understand. Then second chapter is body and emotions. And here, because emotions, we don't feel, we don't see them. We can only feel them. I use several metaphors, and I create a story about girl and her magic mirror, that in this mirror, when he see reflections, she sees these emotions. And like imagine, and then I provide imaginary exercise for children. Like imagine you have this mirror too. You have it. We all have it. If you close your eyes and if you put attention in your body, you will feel all emotions. Kids know it. We just need to help them bring attention there. They lived with these feelings in the age before 3 years old, before they didn't communicate well their feelings. They had their emotions, and this is what we can explain. I'm sorry. This is why one child is calm with one person and feels very anxious with another person, because children feel the energy. Children feel it. Children understand everything. Parents cannot understand everything from first try, but from the second or 10th try, they will accept it too. So body and emotions. My main goal here is to put attention to our body, because our body never lies. Never. If we bring attention to our body, we will feel signals. We will feel like something happened. Before hit someone, I will feel tension in my jaw. I will feel tension in my chest, like I don't like it. I don't like when, for example, parents don't give me freedom, or like what kids see as a freedom. I don't like when parents treat me as a child, and they start like ignore these feelings, ignore these beliefs. But then something again happen and again happen, and if they don't react on these previous body reactions, then it will be boom, and everything just go out, and they feel bad about it. So I feel it's very important to bring attention to our body too for children. So that's why I have another chapter about it. And then I have chapters about basic emotions. It's not all, but it's just the beginning. About joy. And again, we can talk a lot about joy, because it can be different type of joy, loud joy and quiet joy. And at the same time, it's still the same emotion. Some kids, especially if they have siblings with different neurosymptoms, for example, they see that my siblings react very loud when he is happy, but I'm not this type of person. I react differently. And it's very important to normalize it. This is happiness too, when you are calm and you just feel like you cover it with a cozy blanket. But when you want to jump and you want to hug everyone, this is a happiness too. This is a joy too. And this is what can be. So sometimes we need to normalize, because kids are labeling themselves like this person can be happy, but I can't, or different thing. And another thing is very important, what I said before, that from the age of 8, kids can block their happiness. They can be happy and joyful with their friends, but can like play different role in a family. And we need to pay attention too. If we dive deeper, there always a huge love and support for parents. This is the way how children like protect their parents from other emotions. If they see that parents like maybe stressed, maybe overwhelmed, they cannot cope with the huge emotions. But again, we need to normalize it before it goes very deeper and it becomes as a part of their personality. So that's why I put a chapter about joy, then a chapter about anger. Again, anger is not an identity. Anger is emotion, and honestly, I really love to work with anger emotion, because when we normalize it, when I bring psychoeducation, what's happened in our brain, that there are some levels of anger, and I provide, for example, emotional journal PDF pages where kids' parents can download and track their emotions, like what I feel, where in my body, what happened before. This very simple table help brain put attention to our body and start recognize like these signals from our body. Brain will be we like teaching our brain to notice signals in our body, and it will help us notice triggers. It will help us when anger just start appear in our body. And of course, it will be easier for us to deal with it. And when we understand anger, underneath the anger is always an energy, a huge energy that is driving like children or parents, anyone, to say to yourself, to show yourself, to show your true self, to be visible, to say something important, to do like some energy. And there, if we go deeper in a family psychotherapy, we can find talents. What this kid have, what kind of talents they have, for example. So anger is a very good emotion. It brings so many information for us. And then fears, again, a lot about fears. And of course, I put here like when red flags, when you need to seek support. It's very important for children to know, and for if something happened with their friends, how to help my friend if I see. So I put here like red flags. When, if you have at least one of it, you need to seek support. You need to talk about it with someone. It's again very important to speak with children because they can make different decisions in their head and react on it, and it can be not very helpful. And the last chapter is worry and anxiety. Again, explain what worry is, what anxiety is, what their difference, strategies, put stories, and helpful methods how to deal with it. So it's like book and at the same time workbook because it has so many strategies to implement in your real life. And it's very easy. They're not complicated.
Yeah, that's what I like about it is it isn't just a straight book where it's all information. There are stories and there are exercises that you can make it real and you can make it understandable for kids of those ages and up. So I appreciate the way you include those into the chapter so it's workable. Oksana, I'm always curious with the authors that I have on the series, in writing it, what lessons have you taken away from your experience writing the book? How has your view on the topic changed? How has your approach to your work changed because of writing the book? Because authors can go in saying, I know, I'm a specialist, I know what I'm going to write about, but then they make little changes, they look at things differently. So what were your major takeaways or how did you evolve the most as a result of putting the book out?
Honestly, I'm now rewriting it.
Really?
Yeah, after 1 year, I realized that it was my first book. And it was maybe like experiment to see does people need this information, because so many information about emotions are around. And it was my first book in English, and English is not my first language. And right now I finished Russian version of this book. It's in other department editor work on it, and it will be published soon. And right now I'm rewriting this exact book. And I will be honest with you, I realized that in some chapters I was afraid to share my true ideas, how I really see it. Not a lot, maybe like 2%. I realized that I was afraid to share what I just shared with you today in this interview. And but when I wrote this book, I wasn't so brave to share what I really see. And right now I realize that now I can do it. And that's why I'm not like rewriting it completely, just put additional metaphors, like some slight points that I realized that I wasn't ready to put it in the first version.
When, after the book came out, when was it? What was it that happened that made you believe that made you realize that you weren't quite, that you maybe didn't put it, did your thinking evolve? Or do you really believe that at that time you really kind of held back and didn't share really in your wording or your beliefs or with certain urgency?
Mhm.
What was it that changed? Do you think your thinking changed or
Yes, I think I changed. During this 1 year, I really changed because when I wrote at that time, I didn't have this idea like, no, I will not share it. It's very like honest. It's very um, brave, or it's very different from other books I telling. At that time, I didn't have this. After the book was published, I worked a lot on providing workshops for parents, providing online classes. I had Focus on Emotion Club for parents just to support parents. When we talk about, it was an online group, when we talk based on my book, the same approach, but how to use it, for example, brain, how you can use it in your life. So I provide these clubs during the summer. This summer, I provide workshops during this year. I was a guest of several podcasts when I talked about this book, and I got feedback from clients on my Amazon page from people who bought this book. And at the same time, I worked on the Russian version. I didn't translate this book. I like rewrite. And then I realized that when I use the same structure from my first book, and when I wrote it in Russian, I realized, no, now I would say it differently. And that's why right now I work on the slight changes. It will be the same structure. It will be the same
yeah.
book, but just several points I will add.
I mean, it's a miracle that books are published anyway. They're hard enough to write, they're hard work to put in, to get all your material in there, to craft it the right way. But I'm always fascinated by you, the authors, or other creatives, whether they're painters, singers, musicians. It's just like, when do you pull the trigger and publish it? When do you stop making changes? So I can only imagine what it's like. And I've had some people say, yeah, when I publish a book or when I publish an article, obviously they're a bit different. I don't look at it because then I'll see all these little things. So it's incredible that you're saying, even this soon after the book came out, I do want to make those changes because there are new things that there are different ways that you've become more comfortable in that honesty that you have that maybe you didn't. It's incredible that it only took a year for you to think, you know what? I do want to go back and apply a little more of my voice, a little more of my insights to this book. Because sometimes people wait, obviously, years before they go back and rewrite or update, and you're just like, no, I think the urgency for this and what I see is to do it now.
Yeah, maybe because I work on it this whole year, I work on this approach.
Yeah.
And again, I saw feedbacks from people, and their feedbacks, again, I understand that they need it. It's very useful. When you understand what's going on, it's useful. And I really have this dream, idea, goal that the more people know about it, because it's very easy to cope with emotions when you understand them.
When you have the tools. And when somebody spells it out a certain way, when they present it to you a certain way, with your metaphors, your stories, uh, what has been some of the feedback that you've got on the book?
So what was the feedback? The most important feedback that kids love it. This is what I remember, that it was very easy for kids to understand because language is very easy and structure is like they love it. It's like a short, different structure. I have some tables here, like you can work on it. We have for example, recognize triggers. What else? Stories, like the main idea and what important that everyone said to me is that kids love it and kids use it, exercise from it. And some parents said, now my kid can say to me, like, my amygdala is active. And it's something that makes me smile. Like, okay. When children, like, can put this knowledge in their real life and they can talk about it. And even I, in my real life, when I have something in my life and my children like ask me something, I can say to them, my level of anxiety right now, 7 out of 10. Please give me time. I will eat and I will come to you. And if they insist, I said, 9 out of 10. So, and this is how I can communicate my emotion and my kids listen to me. And then I can eat, I can rest, and then we come back and talk. So it's very important that we can say it in our families and no one will judge and will laugh on me. It's normal.
Yeah, it's incredible when you can model certain behaviors or just model where you are, demonstrating where you are, demonstrating that I can apologize to them, that, just because I'm the adult doesn't mean I get a pass if I messed up somehow. So I love that's one of the funnest things that I experience as a dad is just modeling certain behaviors and telling them where I'm at, being honest. And that especially because sometimes when they have a certain emotion or they feel a certain way, they stop working, they stop doing, they stop moving forward. Where I kind of want to show them, listen, when you feel certain emotions, what is that emotion? Understand it, but don't shut yourself down. Obviously, I could put it more in better phrasing after reading your book, but that I go through things myself. So I like sharing that with them where I'm at, just like what you said with your children, just so that they know there are going to be struggles later, that it doesn't all go away, that you don't all have it wrapped up perfectly by a certain age or when you're an adult. And it's being honest with them. So thank you for sharing that example.
Yeah. Like the weather, the same. Like the weather. The weather can be changed. The weather can be different. You just put additional clothes and wear sunglasses or bring your umbrella. And the
Yeah.
same with emotions. It will gone. It will not be with you forever. But right now, this is what we have. Okay. So what we can do with it?
So, Oksana, obviously, I know you're in the middle of finalizing the Russian version. You're in the process of tweaking the first edition of this book. For you, not to put any pressure, not to rush you, where do you think you want to go next after you've kind of worked past this book and put it out there the way you want? What do you think is next for your writing? What kind of direction do you want to head in?
Honestly, again,
Of course.
yeah. This weekend, my son had a tournament in hockey, and I had a free time. I just went to the trail and I spent some time there. And when I was there, I realized that I want that my next book, it can be focused on emotions, focus on hockey, because it's very important to understand how to deal with your emotions when your team is losing right now. And I see these kids, they're struggling, or when they win, and how to go deeper. And I even during this time on trail, I record myself some ideas. Again, it just pop up in me, and I realized, okay, I hear you. I will put these notes for myself. I will work on it later. Now I will finish, but this is what it can be, because hockey is very popular game and so many kids there. And again, parents can support children differently, and coaches are different, but kids have emotions and their emotions are huge. So I made some templates for myself for like future book to have like PDF files with like tips and tricks how to deal, what to do in a healthy way.
Yeah. I'd like to see that for the adults that coach sports. Not all of them, obviously, but there's certain adults that I see coaching, and it's just kind of like the mentality, the toxicity. Honestly, now I see where, whatever your definition of toxic masculinity comes from. I see it's incredible having kids my age because I'm in their different environments, and you see what the parent's attitude or reaction or way of being, how it trickles down to how the kid acts. It's incredible to
Mhm.
see. Um, Anyway, but that stood out to me because I coached soccer last spring for my 6-year-old, and I just
Oh,
saw a lot of stuff that I didn't like seeing, the way they talk to 6-year-old kids. Not all of them, absolutely not. Not all of them. But it's incredible when, adults are talking to athletes, little athletes, just starting out certain ways. But again, that's a topic for another book, another conversation, another
yes.
podcast. Oksana, for you, obviously I bring people on here inspired by a book or that they're promoting their own book. The first episode I had you on, we talked about Limitless by Jim Quick. You had spoken about how you, and forgive me if I forget the details, but how you had immigrated and then how that book helped you in learning the language and just kind of um, enhancing your thinking because of that adjustment in culture and language, all of it. So we covered that in the first episode we spoke. Obviously, we're talking about your book here. What other book has stood out to you as impactful aside from Jim Quick's book? Anything else you want to mention? Anything
Um,
that comes to mind?
yeah. Yesterday, I just started reading a new book, not new book. One book said I just start reading it, but I love it. And it was a miracle that I had this book for 7 years. And when we moved houses, I always carried it with me and I always had the feeling that I want to read it. And several people around me said to me, recommend this book. You need to read it. You need to read it. And yesterday when I asked my daughter, can you help me download this book? Like my mama wanted me to read it. And she said, you know what? We have this book in our home. And she found it and bring it to me, and I realized, oh my God, I have this book for years and I didn't read it. And when I start read it, it's like it was very interesting. This book from Dan Brown, it, how it's I don't remember the title in English, unfortunately.
Oh, it's okay. It's all
The
right.
book was published in 2017. It's about technical changes. Oh my God, I forgot how this book called it. But Dan Brown, I love his books, and they are always very deep. And right now, I see this deep level in everything. This year, I don't know, maybe a lot of transformation inside me, but even if I rewatch some children's movies from my childhood or some movies or books when I reread it just for fun, I see them differently. And this book, what I had it from 2018, and I just start read it, it's inspired me. And I realized that like about artificial intelligence.
Is this it was fiction?
Uh, so Dan Brown,
Because he mostly writes fiction,
he
right? He's the
wrote,
author of the Da Vinci Code.
yes.
I
He,
think, was it
it's
called Digital
fiction.
Fortress?
Maybe I honestly don't remember.
Was the cover white with like blue on it?
I have in Russian edition. That's why.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. In any case, if you remember it or if you go and check, and
Of course,
if you
I can.
could send me the link and I'll include it when I post this episode.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't prepare it.
That's all right.
I didn't
No worries.
know we will talk about it, but this is what inspired me, and it. The first thing what like was interesting for me that I had this book and I had the feeling to read it, but I waited 7 years to read it. So, and maybe when I read it that time, I didn't understand it. But right now, I see so many deep meanings in this book.
Okay, so you did read it before.
No, this book I read another book of Dan Brown.
Okay.
And
Well, no, it's always amazing when you read a book and then you come back to it a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later. I had somebody on this series 2 years ago. No, maybe the first season. So, Jesus Christ, 5 years now, 4 years. And the book that she wanted to talk about, I had read 15 years before that. It came out like the 2000s, and I went back to it. And I always mark up my books. I always make notes with like where the good quotes are, the good ideas, examples, coaching exercises, anything like that. And as I read the book to prepare for the conversation with her, I realized all the areas that I was interested in now were much different than what I was interested in then. So it just shows you you can, and obviously with your own book, as you're going through it, translating it to Russian, you're like, wait, I wouldn't say it this way, or I wanted to say it this way. Now I want to go back and look at it and really tweak it. But it's incredible how much we change. And that's why I keep the same questions, even when I have a guest back on. It's been a little over a year since you and I spoke, but the way that you perceive the world, perceive your work, carry out your work, all of that is just going to change so much. So it's incredible how, whether we're talking about ourselves, through a year or years, or reading a book, the way we perceive ourselves or that information is just going to change so much.
Yes, we changed. I see that I honestly, during this year, a lot of changes in myself.
Yeah. Oksana, wrapping up, is there anything that you want to share that I didn't ask about, anything we didn't talk about, anything else you have coming up, anything else you want to publicize or share? Absolutely anything you need to put out there. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot to mention that in this book, if you go to the website focusonemotions/resources, focusonemotions.ca/resources, you will find additional materials that you can download for free. So you can find templates for emotional journaling, for example. It's very easy to use with children and for adults as well. So many information, useful. You can just download it, PDF, and practice. When we, for example, track our emotion, at least for 1 week, 7 days, it will be enough to our brain to used to it. And your brain will pay attention to all the signals, and you will recognize on a lower level your emotions, and it will be easier for you to manage them, to cope with them. So emotional journaling, I really recommend, and I love the structure, what I put in this book, when you not just put date and emotions, but you also pay attention to where in your body you see it and what happened before, like what happened 1 minute before. If you don't notice, you just you feel your anger just pop up in your head and you didn't notice, it's okay. But when you continue asking this question to yourself, okay, what happened? What happened before? When did it start? You will notice. And you will find triggers. And for example, you will notice sometimes it can be just, I didn't sleep well, or I wear not comfortable clothes. It can be very silly things, but they impact us. And again, for parents, paying attention to your emotions. When you want to say something to your children, stop for a moment. What do I feel? And very often, what do you feel as a parent? It's not related to your child. It's just your child triggered something inside you that your subconscious mind bring your attention.
Yeah.
So you need to notice it. You don't need these memories, traumatic memories. You can let them go. You can work on it. And in this perspective, your child, like an angel, help you notice something that is not serving you anymore. So pay attention to your emotions and practice emotional journaling at least for 1 week is very helpful and beneficial.
Yeah, that's huge how you mentioned if you're feeling an emotion or if you don't even know what the emotion is, listening to your body about when you feel something's coming on or has hit you, where in your body are you feeling it? The other piece of that is just how it manifests in your body, how it causes issues in your body if you leave emotions unchecked
Mhm.
or unaddressed, or you don't do that work to learn about yourself and your emotions, what that can lead to in terms of how your body feels. So I appreciate all the information you shared. And again, Oksana shared her own book, Focus on Emotions, The Kid's Guide to Themselves. Oksana, thank you again for coming back for another conversation.
Thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure to be here.
And if there's anything I might have missed, just let me know. We're limited on time, so much to cover, but I'll reach out to Oksana, see what kind of information, guidance, wisdom, anything else I can get back in response. In the meantime, thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.